This is the Cryptid Creature Show. I am Brian, and with me, as always, my co-host Todd. What's up, buddy?
Brian, my friend, hope all is going well with you over there, buddy. What's new? Anything?
Nope, same old, man.
Good.
How about you?
Yeah, just working on stuff outside and
It's that time of year.
realizing how old and tired I am as a person as I do things around the house outside.
Uh-huh.
But it is what it is.
Yep.
I'm just glad summer's here and that we're getting outside and more people are getting out and seeing more creatures and coming forward and talking to us.
That's right. Hopefully, we'll get a lot more
about these
this
things.
summer. That's awesome.
Yeah, we're definitely getting in touch with more people and that are seeing more and more things. And that brings us to tonight's episode, which is cool because it's a little bit different. I remember when we started this episode. I remember when we started the show like 4 years ago, over 4 years ago, man. One of the things that I really wanted to get on the show was a Rake encounter, if you remember. So, and we've had a couple since then. But tonight we're going to have another one.
Well, all right.
Tonight we're going to bring back John, who was on episode 198. The second part of that, he was talking about some Bigfoot experiences he had. Never saw one, but had some things going on that definitely alluded to that. But I guess he was driving around late at night and had some strange creature, which he thinks was a rake in the middle of the road that he swerved to miss. And basically, this thing, I believe, touched his vehicle, and he has pictures to prove it. So we're going to bring him on and talk to him about his rake encounter.
Well, that should be fun.
And see what's going on. So with that, are you ready to bring John on?
Yep, let's get it. Hey, John, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
John, welcome back to the show, man. How you been?
I'm doing pretty good. Lots changed since the last time I was on here.
I know. You were on episode 198. The second part of that, I know we were talking to you about some experiences you had in Ohio there with some Bigfoot activity going on. But you, as we always say, if you see anything else, reach out to us. And you did. And you had a crazy encounter going on. Where did this happen at? Same area or?
No, actually, this happened in just outside Union City, Indiana.
Indiana.
Where's that at? Union City, Indiana.
It's right on the state line, south of Portland. And Ohio would be northwest of Greenville. So it's like,
Okay.
State Route 28.
Okay, you're right on. Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Okay. By the way, you sound great.
Thank you.
You must have the same mic as we do. The Shure, is that what you got? Is that what you're
No, actually, I don't. This is a Amazon product. It's
really
Wow,
nice.
Yeah, since last time I was on here, I was doing lives on TikTok, just taking paranormal encounters from people. And we had talked when I was on your show about the Ohio Bigfoot Jamboree. And I went over there and I actually met some guys at that podcast and struck up a friendship. And I was doing these paranormal lives on TikTok, and they convinced me to go ahead and start a podcast. So
cool. What's it called?
Myths, Monsters, and Mullets.
Dude, I did not. You got some long hair going on. I did not realize that your hair was that long last time we talked to you. Holy crap,
it's fake.
dude!
It's fake.
Okay.
So when I started my TikTok,
I'll block all that out if you want me to.
Oh, I don't care. No, everybody knows.
That's what I need right there, Brian. We need some fake hair, man.
So that's your hook, the mullet.
Well, see, I started my content creation was all comedy, and I played this character that had a mullet.
Okay.
And when I started doing my paranormal lives, people would come in and like, what? Because I had my hair off, and I'm bald underneath, like shaved bald. And people were like, "Where's your mullet?" That was the first question anybody would ask when they come in. So I was like, "Okay, screw it. We'll just keep the."
It looks good, man. Keep rocking
awesome.
it.
Heck yeah, man.
I'm thinking about trying it out. You never know. I should
I can
wear it
send you
into work
some.
like that one day. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like I said, I came on your guys' show. That was actually the first time I'd ever done anything like on a podcast or anything like that. And talked to the guys up there at OBJ. It's the guys from Nevermore Hollows. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of them. But then I started doing these paranormal lives, and they convinced me to start a podcast. So I was taking all these questions or these encounters from people. And when I was on your show before, I had told you guys that I had had some paranormal encounters, and then but we went right into um, my possible Bigfoot encounters. And I know ghosts are real because I had, you know, a poltergeist activity, but Bigfoot was still, and cryptids were still like, I'm not sure. Like the stuff that happened to me was, sounds and smells, and I never saw anything. So I think that um, I'm still very skeptical on the cryptids at that point. And so I'll go into my encounter. It was November 30th last year, 2024. Um, my wife and I had spent the day Christmas shopping in Greenville, Ohio. We were on our way home, and I will warn you, I may get emotional on this. So
Okay. Mhm.
As we always say, take your time. Just tell it how you need to tell it. If you need to take a break, we're good.
Yep.
so we're coming up State Route 28. It's very rural. It's all farmland on both sides of the road. Not a lot of lights. There was a car maybe 300 yards, 200 to 300 yards in front of me. It's hard to tell at night. But you guys know, because you guys are in Indiana and Midwest, that time of night, that time of year, you're watching for deer, you know. Um, so and when you have a car in front of you when it's dark out like that, you're watching their tail lights to see, if they hit the brakes, if they swerve, if anything walks in between you guys. So, I'm focused on the road. I've lived in the country my whole life. I'm I know about deer. So we we're about 5 miles outside of Union City, and there's a little stream, and I can't remember the name of the little stream. It's a feeder into the Mississinawa River, and a- as we cross this bridge, um, there's something appears in the center lane. Like when I say appears, it was like 1 second it was there, 1 second and 1 second it's not, 1 second it is. It's just there. And first, all I could see was this gray mass. I'm doing probably 60 mile an hour, and I would guess, and it's nighttime, it's hard to tell, and this whole thing only took a few seconds, maybe 3 to 5 seconds. Um, Something's in the center lane, and the it's gray, kind of like cigarette ash gray. Um, as I get closer, it's the upper upper body of a man. And it's like up on its knuckles, like on its fists, and I can only see from like the belly button up. I said it was November 30th, so it's cold that night. This thing had no clothes. It was like fit and muscular, so not like bodybuilder muscular, but like in shape. So when I'm first coming up on it, its body is facing me in the center lane, and it's looking off to its right. And it turned and looked at me, and it had no eyes. Like it was just like sockets, like holes. Um, from the nose down, there was nothing. It was like skin. Um, I couldn't see any ears. It had no hair on it. Um, so as I get closer, like so it's up on its knuckles. With its right hand, it like took a step and then moved towards me. And then with its left hand, it like lunged at the car. So my wife, she was on her phone doing a Walmart order. So she wasn't paying attention to the road, but I swerve and immediately I was like, "Did you see that?" And of course she didn't. And then s- something like I couldn't talk. It took me probably 5 minutes to be able to even tell her what I saw. And when I did, she was like, "Do you want to go back?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want to. I don't even know what I saw. All I know is it shouldn't have been there." And so we going home. It's about 15-minute drive from my house to where this happened. And we go inside, and like I'd said at the beginning, I'd made friends with the guys from Nevermore Hollows, and they're very much into the paranormal and stuff. So immediately I call Alan and tell him what happened, and he gets his co-host on the line, Chris, and they start helping me like work through it, like what did you see, and trying to calm me down because at this point, like I'm crying because there was it that was the most fear I've ever felt in my life because that that's not supposed to exist, you know? And so I talked to them for about 15, 20 minutes and I needed a cigarette. I did. So I went outside to smoke. But one of the questions they had asked me was, did I hit it? And at the time, I mean, if you've ever hit like a cat or a squirrel or something, you feel it. But I didn't feel anything. So like, no, I don't think I hit it. So while I'm out there smoking, I decide to go out and look at the vehicle. Like, maybe I did. And I looked at the front fender and there was nothing. And I'll send you guys these pictures. But when I got to the driver's side door, there were like 4 finger swipes down the side of the vehicle from like the road salt and stuff that's on the car. And I measured them, and it was 8 inches from fingertip to fingertip. And like, so if it's reaching out and it's hitting with these 4 fingers, these 2 fingers were like close together like this, and the other 2 were spread out. But it was 8 inches from here to here. And so I come back in, you know, my wife looks at me and she's like, what's wrong? Like she could see it on my face. And I'm like, it touched the car. And, I take her out and show her, and, now she's kind of freaked out. And so when I talked to Alan and Chris, we were trying to decide, what this could be. And the first thing that I thought was Rake. But I never saw, like, it looked like just the upper body. It was like I never saw any legs. I never saw when it honestly kind of looked like it was coming up out of the ground. The way it was, like, to me, that's what it looked like. I can't say that's what it was doing. It could have been dragging its back legs. I don't know, because it was dark and it was facing towards me. So if its legs were behind it, maybe I just didn't see that. But so at first Rake was the first thing that came to mind for me. And I immediately started like researching, looking into the Rake, because to me the Rake was a creepypasta, just something that was made up, to scare kids or whatever. And I started doing some research into the area. There is 3 different Native American burial grounds within 12 miles, or burial mounds within 12 miles. One of which is, I think it's like 8 miles right down the Mississinawa River. And it had been defaced when an English graveyard was put on top of it. Did you guys ever have, what's his name? Last name's Zimmerman. I want to say Hans Zimmerman or Franz Zimmerman. No. He did a study of the Native American burial mounds, and he found like 90 in Ohio and Indiana that were on private property. One of which is right down the road from me, and they'd actually found oversized skeletons inside of it. And one of the other questions that Alan had asked me was there any cemeteries or anything nearby? And I don't know, like when you drive down a road so many times, like you can drive down the road and be like, oh, I never noticed that house before. There was literally a cemetery like 100 yards from where I saw this thing. So then it was like, well, maybe it was some kind of spirit that I saw. But it left physical marks on my car, So I had somebody else tell me that maybe it was a Nalusa. I went kind of down that rabbit hole. It kind of fits, but the only reason it kind of fits is because the in the description of the Nalusa, it says it gives you overwhelming fear and sorrow. And honestly, that's what I felt at the time. It was that was probably the most fear I've ever felt in my life, was seeing that thing. I've talked to some other people. Some people have sent me some other encounters with Rake, and I always thought Rakes were real skinny and emaciated and things like that. But there's been other people that have reported, muscular Rakes. So I've kind of come full circle back to, I think what I saw that night was a Rake. So,
That's kind of what it sounds like.
yeah.
So, did you consider just? Probably didn't, but did you consider just hitting this thing?
Not at the moment, but I'll tell you what, if I ever saw it again, I would.
I mean, I think I probably would have in a weird way, but you probably had. Okay, true story. Coming home from work today, a red squirrel ran out in the road in front of me. I slowed down. I literally came to a stop because this thing was like, I knew he was going to get hit. He was right under my tire. And then he turned around and he ran back into the field. I'm like, okay, I'm gone. Down a county road, just came to a stop. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
if I saw something like that and I knew if I had time to react, I'd be like, that is something crazy. That is something weird. But then you got to think, is it somebody in a costume?
Right.
You know what I mean? But you said it had no lower body at all.
Well, not that I could see, and this is all taking place in less than 5 seconds,
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
your
It's
that's
it's
reaction.
there's no
humanoid
way
shaped.
there's no way that could have been a person. Not in that.
And
In the
and
middle of
I've
the
I
road.
I
With
looking
ethereal
back,
eyes.
I agree with you. But in the moment, this looked like a man, you know. It was shaped like a man. Um, it may have been 3.5 feet tall, because like, as I went by, I could still see the head above the hood of we have a 2005 Xterra. That's what we were driving at the time. And I could still see the head as we drove by. And then when I looked in my rear view, there just wasn't enough light from the brake lights or whatever. Actually, I didn't hit the brake lights very long. So I couldn't see anything, and I sure as hell wasn't going back.
Have you seen that video where those guys are recording a field? It's kind of a, I don't want to say a mountainous terrain. It's a hilly terrain. There's a tree line, like maybe a couple hundred yards out from them, and they see this gray creature kind of just skimmer across. And he's kind of hunched over. It almost looks like he has pants on. But he's kind of hunched over and he's just like going
Is,
across.
is that the one that comes up towards the road then?
No, this one just kind of disappears into the tree line
I'll have
from
to
what
look
I've
that one
seen.
up.
Um,
I've watched a lot of Rake videos since
and
that happened.
it's a big creature. As far away as it is, it's a big creature. And I'm thinking, okay, that acts, it moves like it's a Bigfoot. Could these things be could there be hairless Bigfoots out there? That have alopecia, whatever. Is that what people are seeing with these rate creatures? But you said you saw no lower body at all.
I saw no lower body, and then the face.
No mouth.
No mouth.
Yeah, there was just holes for eyes, like if you were looking at a skull. And then where the nose and mouth should be, it was kind of like flat. Like there wasn't even a bump for the nose. There wasn't an indentation for the mouth. And the chin was kind of elongated. Not kind of like if you have a goatee. It looked longer,
Mm-hmm.
but not freakishly long, but it looked weird. I couldn't see any ears. Whether it had them, I don't know. I was too focused on the eyes, and there was no eye shine. Just looked like holes where the eyes should be.
Could this have been like a ghost kind of entity or something like that? I mean, we know before when you were on our show before, you had some paranormal stuff going on. Do you think this stuff
That's
is
been
still following
suggested
you or
too.
something like that, or what?
That's been suggested too. That maybe it was like a ghoul, you know, something coming up out of the ground. But I just go back to the fingerprints. You know, this thing left
Whatever it
physical
was
evidence.
solid. Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, nobody's an expert on this stuff, but when it's leaving physical marks, that leans me more towards cryptid than, you know, ghost or ghoul or something like that. Had somebody ask me if it was maybe manifesting up out of the ground, you know, like maybe it was just in between our realm and something. I don't know. I don't
It
know.
could be too.
Yeah, that's what's causing all the potholes in Indiana.
It couldn't be all the gravel roads.
You know what I mean? I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
They come out at night when we're not driving by and just break open the holes and come out.
Oh man.
Right.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. Then after I actually had told my story the next night on my live, and I had somebody from the Philippines come on my show and talk about the tick. And the tick is a half-bodied creature, the upper half of a man, that feeds on unborn babies in the womb. That creature flies. I later found out that during the 1950s, the U.S. government actually did a psyop in the Philippines using the tick. They made the rebels think that there was a tick in the woods by draining the blood out of some poor guy that they drug out to the side of the road. But it is in their lore. It's been in their lore for a long time. It's kind of a vampire creature, but it is just the upper body of a person. And then Rod from Lodge Tales podcast got a hold of me because he had heard the story. And in the Blackfoot tribe, they have a creature that, when it's translated, comes as dragging entrails full of dirt. And it's a half man, just the upper half of a man, that feeds on the unborn babies in the womb.
Your wife's not pregnant, is she?
No, no. And that'd be a miracle. A miracle. It's taken care of on both sides. Let's put it that way.
Oh, nobody can hear you, Todd.
Is it human unborn babies or is it
Yes.
animals unborn babies? Okay.
Human. Because the
That's
woman that
crazy.
came
I
into
mean,
from the Philippines.
That's a little.
Yeah. The woman that came in from the Philippines, her grandmother was a midwife. And she said she used to go with her grandmother to help deliver these babies. And she had claimed that she had seen the tick flying because this tick had learned that her grandmother was a midwife and would follow them.
Well, that's probably where TikTok came from.
So how far away from this
Tick.
area is that the burial mound you were talking about?
One of them is just 8 or 9 miles down the road. That's on private property, so you can't get to that one. The one in Jay County, I haven't been able to pinpoint the location. It was just in Zimmerman's research.
Private property, like government property, or like
No,
you could
like
find
privately owned. Privately
So
owned.
you could probably find out who owns it.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out exactly where it was. It's just said in Jay County. So, but we're right in the middle of Jay County, so it's got to be within 10 or 15 miles of my house.
A lot of things happen around those Native American burial grounds, man.
And I was leaning towards this dragging entrails full of dirt because this whole area was the Delaware Indian tribe, and Fort Recovery is 10 minutes from here. and that was there was a major battles between the Delaware and the English from Fort Recovery. This whole area was just bloodshed.
Hmm.
So,
Man, that's
the Native American part still isn't. I still haven't given up on that.
especially since it's right in Indiana. This is I want to dig more into this and find out more about this.
You
That's
guys had
that's wild.
Brandon from Tinfoil Tales on your show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Mississinawa and the Wabash are the two rivers that he's, looking into. And
Yeah.
this is the headwaters of the Mississinawa right here where all this happened. There's just a lot of weird
Okay.
stuff that has happened in this area. Um, in fact, the ghost stuff that I had happen is in Winchester, Indiana, which is one county south. 20 minutes from my house. There's just a lot of weird stuff
Man,
in this
that's
area.
wild. That is wild. I never, growing up, never would have imagined any of that.
Yeah, but when we were growing up, it wasn't talked about.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
if
true.
if
Yeah.
if you talked about it, you were shunned and you were crazy, and
Because
they're ready to put
Indiana,
you in the
yeah.
loony bin.
Well, Indiana is, I mean, we're the northern part, but we're still the Bible Belt for
Right,
the most part.
right.
So, yeah, that never was talked about.
Yeah. And that was the paranormal and Bigfoot and stuff. That was
Oh,
never
yeah, that
talked
was
about in.
taboo, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think I even said this the last time I was on your show when we were down where I had all my experiences with possible Bigfoot. There was a guy who said he had seen a Bigfoot down there. Everybody, including myself, made fun of this guy. You know, Bigfoot's not real. I'm, I think it is. I've
Well,
heard too many stories, had too many
I do.
witnesses come on the show. I know what I went through.
Mhm.
I can't. I'm leaning more towards it being real. And now once I have a sighting, then I would say yes. But it's just I can't say 100% that it's real, but I'm leaning that way. I know that just whatever I saw, the rake or whatever it is real, and I think that's even more unbelievable than Bigfoot. So I don't
Yes
know.
and no.
I
Yes and no.
mean,
I mean, it depends on how you believe, what you believe in. Could be a demon. We
yeah,
don't know.
I've 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 went down so many rabbit holes over the last 6 months trying to figure out what I saw, and I keep coming back to the rake. I mean,
Just
that's
that area, though. I just want to know what went on there back in the old, the old west, the old days. You know.
I even started trying to look at that cemetery that, like I said, is only like 100 yards from where I had this encounter. And apparently, the graves in this thing are so old they don't even know who's in them. Like they have
Wow.
some of the names, but some of them are so old they just don't have records who's in those graves, and the markers are so worn you can't read it.
Wow.
So
Mm,
yeah, so
mm,
I don't know. I could it
wow.
be it could be a lot of things, but I keep coming back to the rake. That's
Because
it checks too many boxes.
that's what it looks like. That's what you described.
Yeah.
That's what else could it be?
The only thing that was throwing me off was not being able to see the lower body. I didn't see legs. I didn't see, like, it it looked like his belly button was touching the pavement. So I don't know. It was terrifying, and I wouldn't wish anybody to actually see it.
Yeah, no kidding.
And you know, like Todd said, if I see it again, I'm going to hit it. I'm going to hit it. It's you know and that. But at the time, like I said, it goes through your mind. Maybe it's a person. Maybe they got hit by a car. Maybe they have a mask on or something. I don't know, but the body was gray. It was like, um, it like I said, like a cigarette ash, you know? and it was November 30th. I know it was at least at freezing, if not below that night. Why would anybody have been out there without clothes on? It's just so many questions that pushes me away from it being a person. I think I would have heard about it on the news if some guy got hit on the road right there. So I don't know. I don't know. I just keep coming back to the Rake.
So, what do you think the Rake is? If it's real, do you think it's a paranormal entity, or do you think it's a physical thing? Do you think it's somewhere in between that, back and forth?
Before I started looking into this, I always thought the Rake was like a tulpa. It was created out of people believing in it. But the term Rake really started with the internet. But if you go back and look at Pale Crawler, that's a different, that's been reported long time ago. And that is what the Rake is. It's a Pale Crawler. So it was just given that name with the creepypasta stuff. And I think I'm leaning towards just an unknown cryptid, like, kind of like Bigfoot. I didn't see it do anything supernatural. When I say that it was there when it wasn't, and it wasn't there 1 minute and it was, that could have been it just got into my headlights to where I could see it. I didn't physically like see it pop into existence. Just in my field of view, 1 second it wasn't there, and the next second it was, and it was gray. It's on the road, so at a distance, it's probably gonna blend in. When I first was telling this story, it was like, I mean, this thing materialized, but hindsight's 2020, and you start thinking about it. It's like, well, it was gray. The pavement's gray, so maybe it didn't register at first.
And if your headlights just hit it just right.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say that the headlights that are on that vehicle are aftermarket LEDs, so they are pretty bright. I think that's why I was able to see so much detail. But there's still, I mean, there's still a limit to it, and there's still, I'm looking farther out for deer, and then it catches my attention. That could have been the materializing. I don't know. I don't know. I think everybody, once they have an encounter, they start second guessing and looking back is like, and your memory, like your brain does things too.
It's your brain trying to tell you that, oh, it was a deer, or it was a goat, or it was something,
right?
Something real.
And it tries to fill in the gaps, the things that you don't understand. It tries to fill those in. So when I called Alan, the first thing he said is like, write all this down. That way, you can go back and look at it and, well, I didn't write that down, so that didn't happen, So, yeah, it's a Rake. That's the only thing I can come up with that fits, checks all the boxes. Right.
Do you think the Rake has anything to do with Skinwalker?
I've done some digging into the Skinwalker, and from what I understand, I think we're too far east for a Skinwalker, but there have been some people that have said they have seen them in Appalachia. I don't know. Most of the reports say those come, or most of the things that I read say that those are out west.
Out west, yeah.
So,
okay, is it paranormal then? Do you think it's paranormal?
Well, to me, anything that falls outside the normal is paranormal. So,
okay, is it from another world?
What
I'm
saw,
only asking. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. You saw what you saw.
I know, and I've been asked this question before because if you think about the descriptions of gray alien, kind of sounds similar. You know,
Yeah.
long arms, no mouth, no nose, big eyes.
Black guys.
You know, no hair. Um, had somebody ask me if I had time loss. I don't know. If I wasn't looking at the clock at the time, I just know it was around 7 o'clock because of what time I called Alan and how long it takes me to get to that spot.
Well, you
So
said your wife was on her cell phone and she didn't see it, so I don't think you probably lost any time. Well,
probably
you
not.
lost a lot of time, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But that's just crazy. This was in Indiana too, right? You said.
Yeah. Yeah. That's in
Have you been
county.
by
Well,
that?
that was in Randolph County, Indiana.
Have you been down that road again
I go
since
down it
that
about
time?
every 2 weeks.
Okay.
And I will tell you this, for the first couple months, anytime that I would drive, even during the day, if I drove down that, like it felt like my heart was pounding on my chest. I would white knuckle the steering wheel, and I refused to go down that road by myself. I won't do it. I'll go 20 miles out of my way to go around that without
Well,
by
I don't
myself.
blame you. Yeah, I don't blame you.
And honestly, it's because if I saw this thing again, I don't feel like I could tell anybody. 'Cause it's already unbelievable that I saw it the first time. That if I were to see it again, like, this guy's full of shit. You know, he's making this stuff up. But sorry, I
Well,
didn't mean to cuss, but
no, you're good, man. Like I said before, would you hit it this time if you could see it,
absolutely. I would steer into it.
to see what would happen if you actually hit a creature? Or I mean, you know, it's not a human, right? There's no way it's a
Right.
human. So
Yeah.
I mean, people see this stuff from time to time. These rate creatures pop up in weird places, and I kind of wonder if they have something to do. And then you talked about the Indian stuff earlier. I mean, I kind of wonder if there's something to that.
Well, Rod, like, after he heard my story, like, you're like, "Oh, yeah, this is what you saw," you know? But the description I gave him checked every box for him. You know, that's part of their lore.
Mm-hmm.
And the Blackfeet tribe actually came from, um, a little farther north, but, um, they were out that way originally, you know? So a lot of their lore, is from other tribes as well, because there was the mingling of tribes. So, I mean, it could be the same creature, but like I said, I'll probably never know. I want to know, but all I can do is speculate at this point.
That's all we all have. You know?
Yeah,
Well, would you have rather seen that one, or that thing, or a Bigfoot?
I'd rather seen a Bigfoot, and I don't know. It would be a toss up between it and Dogman,
Okay, well,
just because of the reports
Wow.
that I've taken about Dogman. I don't know that I want to see one. I want to see one, but I don't want to see one, if that makes sense.
yeah, I do
Oh
too.
yeah, that makes
In my
sense.
car, like
Right.
Yeah.
50 yards away, and I'm
With a
driving.
high powered rifle next to
But
me.
we're safe, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Good days.
So anyway, yeah, that's just crazy stuff. These rake things are just weird to me. I want to say supernatural for sure. There's stuff going on in this world that people just don't realize. I mean,
Oh, absolutely. And I hear it. I hear it every week, and I'm sure you
yeah.
guys do too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, John, we
And
want to thank you again for coming back on, brother. We appreciate it.
hey,
Yeah,
no problem.
that was very cool. Creepy,
Yeah, it
but
was.
cool.
Yeah, very creepy.
So,
So yeah, we
um,
appreciate it.
we can wait till after we're done recording, and I'll ask you a question. But
Okay, that's fine.
all right.
Anything you want to plug, or anything that you're doing out there that you guys are, your YouTube channel, doing anything like that, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Myths, Monsters, and Mullets. I'm on most podcast players. YouTube is my main place to go right now.
Okay.
You can also find me on TikTok. I do lives once a week. I normally do them on Sundays at 7 p.m., but it's summertime and we do a lot of camping. So
Do
if
you
Okay.
you're
interview
on,
people or do you just read their stories?
no, actually, it's like a live call-in show. You know, you just if you
right
come
on.
in and leave a comment, say you want to come in, it's all off the cuff. Come
You get a
in.
lot.
Nice.
You get a lot of people pop on there when you do that.
It can be hit and miss.
Right.
This last week I had
It's
4
kinda
people
tough.
come in an hour and a half.
Okay.
You know, and then some
Nice.
weeks I'm sitting there just talking about paranormal for an hour. You know,
Yeah. We're getting
But-
we're thinking about doing a live show pretty soon. Bring some people and maybe we can have you pop on and hang
absolutely.
out with us a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
and I do all kinds of collabs. So
Okay, cool.
you
All
know,
right,
Cool,
we'll
yeah.
let you know.
Couple weeks. But all right, John. Well, thanks, man, for being on tonight. We appreciate it so much, brother. A lot of cool stuff going on there with you, and
Yeah, we do. That was very cool.
that
Very creepy.
great creature.
Again.
And we'll be sure to stay in contact with you and see what else you got going on too.
Oh, for
absolutely,
sure.
and I appreciate you guys having me on.
Give us a
And-
shout out for your podcast. What's it called again?
Myths, monsters, and mullets.
And that's on YouTube, right? You said
YouTube.
YouTube's my
YouTube
main
and TikTok.
place, but I'm also on most podcast players. I'm not on Apple yet
okay.
because they like to charge you to put me on there.
Oh, okay. Right on. Well, all right,
So
you guys
just can
check that
find me on
out.
Spotify, things like that.
Myths,
All right,
Monsters,
very
and
cool.
Mullets with John Pike. So thanks again, John, for being here with us, man.
Hey,
Yeah,
no
man, I
problem.
appreciate it. Take
All
care.
right, you guys.
Take care. Okay, sorry. All right, man. It was great bringing John back on and talking about that. Very strange and cool that it happened in Indiana.
Yeah, no, not far at all from us.
Right. You know,
Love it.
on that Indiana Ohio line, there's weird stuff going on there too.
Yeah. Well,
And
it's
it's not
Ohio.
that it's
I mean, it's
wooded.
Ohio's got weird stuff going on, so it bleeds over into Indiana.
I know, but it's not that it's really wooded in that area or of Indiana or Ohio. There's just really not a lot of housing and things going on, but there's probably waterways and systems like that.
Right.
But that whole Rake thing, man, that's just paranormal to me. That's so weird. I mean, like you said, he never
No.
saw the bottom half. It looked like it was sticking out of the road. It was there. It wasn't there. I don't know. Just strangeness,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yep. Love the
But that-
paranormal stuff.
That's why we do this show, right?
That's right.
So we love having that kind of stuff come on. Besides, you know,
That's
the
why it's
Bigfoot.
called Cryptid Creatures and not the Bigfoot Show.
Correct. You've always said that.
That's right.
All right, my friend. With that,
I feel like I have to remind people of that every now and then.
Well, I know everybody loves the Bigfoot thing. Like I
I
said,
know. So
before,
do I.
I'm into the Dogman a little bit more now. I'm kind of more excited about
Yeah.
hearing about the Dogman.
Yeah.
Strange enough, you know, but it's a little bit more intense to me.
It is. Yeah. They're more unpredictable, I think. More
Yeah, definitely.
evil.
So, everyone, thanks for listening. We appreciate you guys. And if you've had an
we do.
encounter, if you've seen a Bigfoot, if you've seen a Dogman, if you've seen something strange, anything weird, UFO, shoot us an email.
Yeah. Let us know.
info@cryptidcreatures.co. Not com, just co.
That's right.
And let us know what's going on. We'd love to hear from you. So with that, Brian, my friend, it was awesome hanging out with you and talking to John
Always
about
fun, brother.
his creepy Rake encounter, man.
Always learning.
With that, I am ready to get out of here. What do you say?
Yep. Yep. See ya.